Painting miniatures for money sounds awesome. But is it? Spoiler alert, fuck no. So in an attempt to keep this video vaguely structured, I'm going to break this down first into my pros, then my cons, and then I'll hand off some tips and just some general thoughts towards the end. The models I painted up for this army were 5 Sagittarium Guard, 6 of the Adeptus Custodians, 2 Blade Champions, and 25 Sisters of Silence, equaling 38 miniatures total. Alright, we're going to kick off this list with one of the more obvious pros, and that's that you're getting paid to paint miniatures. And that's pretty awesome. This might not seem like a major pro to most people, but to me, I feel like it's pretty important. And it's that you might be able to help someone out in your community that isn't actually able to physically paint. And, if it's not laziness holding them back, it's actually a physical impairment, it could be pretty satisfying to help someone that couldn't otherwise achieve this goal. Another major pro, in my opinion, is that you get to paint cool stuff that you didn't actually have to pay for. These are someone else's models, and it might be a faction that you might never consider, and how else would you get the opportunity to paint them? And a major reason that that's pretty cool to me is for pro number 4, and that's building experience and building up paint reps. Sometimes you need a break from doing your own stuff, and a commission or a little project for someone else might be a perfect palate cleanser to get you motivated to working on your army again. And pro number 5 that I kind of already elaborated on with the first one, and that's you get to do something that you're passionate for money. And I feel like opportunities like that seldomly come by in life, and at least for those of us who do something like this in our spare time. And personally, I find that really satisfying. And you can't have pros without having some cons. And one of the major cons that I've found is hobby time guilt. And what I mean by that is the moment I took this commission on, anytime that I wanted to sit down and paint, or that I had to sit down and paint, I was faced with a choice. Do I work on a painting project for myself? Do I work on something for my next video? Or do I work on my painting commission? And admittedly enough, painting commission had slipped to the back burner more times than once. And my boss was extremely patient with me, and it was more about getting a good thing than a quick thing. And I'm just really hoping that he's happy with how these turn out. And for the second con on my list, painting models you don't get to keep. Now, this might seem silly and pretty obvious for painting commissions, but you're going to soak a lot of time into these models, and when you're done, you may very well never get to see them again, and that might be okay for most. I mean, I'm a hobbyist by nature, and so if I'm painting something, it's usually mine. So a commission is kind of a foreign language to my mind. Alright, and con number 3 for me is that in some situations you may find yourself having to paint what you ain't. And what I mean by that is I do not play Custodes, I do not like gold armor, but here we are. And it was a process, and I learned, and I got angry, and it's over. The important thing is that it's over. Con number 4 for me personally, overwhelming process. Especially with a large amount of miniatures. 38 models might have been a little bit too much, but I got it done. Now, I didn't want to just leave you with my complaints and my experience without giving you at least a few tips. That way, if you're considering commission painting yourself, you can at least maybe think about this process, and these tips could help you get through it. The first tip I have for you is write out your plan. It's important that you know what steps you're going to do and in what order you're going to do them. Especially with a large amount of models, you do not want to be backtracking and repainting things because you messed up, You want to make as few steps as possible. Tip number 2 that I definitely did not follow for this project is write out your estimates. Get a whole picture of what work you're going to need to do. The main reason I bring this up is because I accepted this commission thinking, because I had been told, that all of the models were built. When I got the boxes, none of the sisters were built.
Why are you crying?
So all of a sudden I had to build clean, prime, base 25 models just to get them up to the standard to paint, which added an extreme amount of time that I was not prepared for. On the theme of tips that I am going to give you that I didn't follow myself, number 3, plan on setbacks. When you're giving an estimate on time to get it finished, everybody wants to assume that you're going to work on only their project and it's going to be as quick as possible, and sometimes that isn't the case. So be sure that when it comes to your completion time that you just kind of plan for things to maybe not go your way all the time. Tip number 4 that I have for you is get half of the money up front. This is kind of for 2 reasons. One, you're going to feel already pretty obligated to the project if you have money already in hand before anything's finished, and simultaneously it will work as a good motivator for you to want to get that other chunk of money from finishing the project. And I feel like if you save it all towards the end, if there are expenses throughout the project that you need to fork out, whether it's paints or things like that, if you have a little bit of money to work from that came from the project, that can be a lot less of a blunt to bear. A very important tip that I certainly didn't follow myself: set a little bit of time aside every single day until you get this finished. I know that seems like a huge commitment, but if you're at all considering doing this for an actual living, you're going to be probably painting many hours every single day. So painting 30 minutes to an hour a day doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Tip number 6, do not bite off more than you can chew. Start small. Do a character. Do a unit of 10 models for someone. Do not jump in 40, 50 models for someone having never done this before. You're asking for trouble. Tip number 7, keep your customer updated with the progress. Send them pictures. Send them texts. Every couple of days, show them the progress you're making. If this is a project that's going to take multiple weeks, maybe even months, set up a time, set up a day during the week that you just are going to keep in contact with your customer, and you're just going to show them the progress you've made so far. That way, if there's anything that they want to change, you don't have to change it all the way when it's finished. And with that being said, my final tip: shoot for creative freedom. And what I mean by that is, if you're painting a unit for someone that they don't even have in their army yet, or maybe it's a new model that just got released, do something wild, do something a little wacky. Ask if it's okay that you maybe don't do it exactly how they have the rest of their army. It'll make the model unique, and it will also offer you the ability to maybe work a little bit differently than the person that painted the original models did. I think painting commissions are a very double-edged sword. Lots of pros, lots of cons, and a lot to consider, even without talking about the money. Which reminds me, the money. Now, if you follow my tips and you do as I say and not as I do, you could make some money doing commissions, if the work is there to be had. If you have a real job and you have the free space on your desk to take on another project, sure, why not make a few extra hobby bucks and do a little commission? But we are in a very strange financial time, and not everybody's looking to get their miniatures painted. So it might be a little bit harder for you in your local area to get picked up on commission painting. But hey, maybe you have a model on your shelf that you just quite haven't got paint on yet. Grab it, finish it, throw some paint on it, post it up on eBay, list it as pro painted, and watch the money fly in. But that's going to be all for this video. If you made it all the way to the end, hey, give the video a like. If you like my style of content, subscribe to this channel. I try to post a video once every few weeks, and I would greatly appreciate your support. A little channel like mine, a sub and a like goes a long way. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching. Deuces.